The final lesson in our first unit it comes from Chapter 2 and it's Lesson 1. We combine this with the three lessons from Chapter 1 because it just seems to make a really good fit. We're going to be talking about making decisions and setting goals. Obviously, when we start talking about health and wellness and basically taking responsibility for our health, we need to know what direction we're headed. And a lot of times that does include making some really important decisions in our lives and setting some really important goals. It's not so much just what you're going to do for the rest of the day, but maybe for the rest of the week, the rest of the month, year, your life, and so on. And I know in seventh grade, sometimes it's hard to look ahead, but you will be making a lot more decisions as your life goes on, and hopefully some of you will be setting some really important and exciting goals as you go forward. So let's talk about decisions and goals. We've talked about your responsibilities increase every year you get older. That can be a really great and exciting thing, but at the same time, there is a lot more responsibility put on your shoulders. You have to make decisions that not only affect you in the positive, but don't have a negative impact on the people around you. This includes what you wear, what you eat, how late you stay up, things that we've discussed throughout the beginning of this quarter. And when I say go to sleep, you know I don't mean just when the door is shut and mom and dad think you're falling asleep, but when the phone is away, TV's off, and your eyes are shut, lights are out. Far too often, teenagers stay up late and they come into school tired, and that affects their relationships. It's going to affect their schoolwork, and it may even affect sports after school if you're too tired to compete or participate. You make decisions every day that can affect your health. And, it starts with the things that you eat and the things that you wear and the way you treat other people. Certainly, we know our physical, mental, and social health can be affected by a lot of these decisions. By setting goals and thinking about long term and short term consequences, we can make responsible decisions. If you can think through a decision and realize the good or bad things that are going to happen, you're more likely to make a choice that ultimately benefits you and the people around you. When we make decisions, there is a decision making process. Now, I don't expect everybody to stop and look through all the steps that we're going to talk about here in the next few slides, but many of you will kind of organically or naturally use these steps when you're making a really important choice in your life. Decision making is the process of making a choice or finding a solution. It's not so much just waking up and saying, well, I decided to wake up and go to school. You were probably going to do that anyway. And you'll probably do it again tomorrow, but we're talking about things where you have a choice to make on whether or not you're going to participate, attend, hang out with certain peoples, do your homework, do your project, those type of things. And we'll talk about these 6 steps. So step 1 is state the solution, situation. What is the problem or what is it you're trying to accomplish? Step 2 is listing the options. Step 3 is weigh the possible outcomes, so look at the goods and the bads, essentially the consequences. Step 4 is considering your values. Step 5 is make a decision and act. And then step 6 is evaluate your decision. And we're going to use the example as we go forward here of what you're going to do after high school. And I know many of you haven't thought about that, but it's going to start creeping into your head and your thoughts as you get older and older, as you get closer to high school graduation. So let's look at step 1 and stating the situation, saying, what am I going to do after high school? You're going to ask yourself questions. What do I want to do? How can I do it? Do I have to pay money? Will I make money? How much money will I make? Where will this be? Those are questions that are going to come up that you may really want to know the answers to. And then you have to decide what choice needs to be, do you need to make? Is it get a job? Do you get married? Do you go to college? If you go to college, which one? How do you pay for it? And the third part of this is who else, if anybody, is involved. Are there people you can talk to? Do you have friends, family that have maybe been through this situation before that can offer advice? I would hope that if we're talking about what you're going to do after high school, that you would know a lot of adults who could give you some pretty sound advice on what you should do and maybe what the best options for you would be. So step 2 is list the options. Now I've already kind of mentioned a few of these. You want to make a list of your options. Again, is it get a job, go to college, maybe list the different colleges you want to go to or the ones you can afford or that are close distance or maybe that have certain friends that are going to. Ask others for suggestions. Maybe somebody who's been to a certain college, maybe somebody has a certain job that they would recommend for you. And make sure your options are safe ones. I don't think anybody wants to be a drug dealer out of high school, because we certainly know there would be some dangers to that. Or maybe it's a certain trade. Maybe it's working on oil rigs in North Dakota and knowing that there's some danger to that. Or, you know, carpentry, plumbing, something where there might be a little bit more labor involved, and whether or not it's something you can handle or that you would consider to be safe, and something that maybe you would even look forward to. When we look forward to the solutions, or what basically the outcomes of your choice, of your decision, we want to weigh those possible outcomes. Again, some people will make a T-chart and put pros and cons on either side and list the good things and bad things that can result from the choice that you're making. But you can also use the HELP formula, HELP. You want to make sure, number one, that it's H, that it's healthful, that it's something that can be beneficial to you. Uh, you know, a job or a college obviously is going to lead to more money, and it's a sense of accomplishment, and it's going to make you feel good. There's going to be definitely some mental and social aspects to it. Physically, it just depends on you know, the stress it may have on you. That would be mental as well. But maybe a job isn't going to be something that is physical. Maybe it's something that's a desk job where you don't have to worry about your body breaking down. The second one, E, is it ethical? Is it something that most people would agree with? Is it something that is not going to get you in trouble? Uh, you know, there are a lot of people that cheat people out of money in businesses, and that would be very unethical. And that goes into the third one, L, legal. Is it something that the law or the police officers would encourage and say, hey, this is okay? Or is it something that's a little shady, and other people would be hurt in the process? And the last one is P, parental approval. Is it a job after high school that your parents want you to have? Is it a college they want you to go to? Are they satisfied with the decision that you've made? And I know at some point you're going to have to make your own decisions, but I think we always want the important people in our life, whether that is mom or dad or not, to approve of the things that we choose and the things that we do. Step 4 is considering your values. Considering your values will guide you in the right direction as you make decisions. And values are the beliefs and principles that guide the way a person lives. If you're somebody who you know, enjoys going to church, helping other people, you're going to probably choose a direction in life, maybe a job or a path after high school that is beneficial to others, that keeps other people in mind, that's very selfless, not selfish, and you know, it's something that other people would look up to as a role model, and it would be very, very positive. Not to say that everyone has a dark side, but some people choose a direction where maybe it's totally money driven. They're going to neglect family and friends as a way of working harder at their job to make more money. Not that money is a bad thing, but some people's social health and relationships can suffer because they're so career or financially driven that they don't make time for others, and they maybe kind of shun people along the way. So you have to decide what's right for you and what feels best for you deep in your heart, and really what seems to be right going forward. Step 5, you just have to make your decision and then act on it. You know, if you are going to choose to go to college, then you know, apply and go to college. It doesn't mean that it's going to work out or it's the best choice that you can make, but you have to stick with it. Once you've completed the previous steps in the decision-making process, you're ready to take action. And you know, life is a learning experience. Sometimes we make choices and they don't work out and we have to start over. And you're going to see that in the next step. So we have to take all the information we have, the research we've done, the people we've talked to, make our choice, and then move forward. So in step 6, we're going to evaluate your decision. If the outcome was not what you expected, use a decision-making process and try again. Not that it's so hard or easy to start over, but sometimes it's so mentally exhausting that you know, you put in so much time and effort that it's very difficult to admit defeat, admit that it didn't work out, and try again. But it takes also some courage and bravery to do that, because it might be the right decision to start over, because you know, we don't always make the best decisions, and sometimes it's not necessarily a bad thing or an illegal thing or anybody got hurt. It just didn't seem to work out. You know, I know a lot of friends and students who have gone to college and then a year or two later either drop out or switch to a different college for a variety of reasons, and it turns to work out in the end. So sometimes making that choice and starting over or changing directions, this can be a very, very positive one. It's difficult to talk about making decisions and thinking about the future without setting realistic goals. We're going to kind of talk about these hand in hand. Goal setting is the process of working towards something that you want to accomplish. You set out in your life to do this, this, or this. Maybe it's you want to be an athlete and you want to play professionally. Maybe you want to make a lot of money. Maybe you want to have a family. Maybe you want to buy a house. It's not like we can wake up one day and make these things happen overnight. They take a lot of planning and they take a lot of effort and work on your part, which can be really, really rewarding if they pay off. And like the decision-making model, sometimes we fall short of our decisions or our goals, and we have to reevaluate and change, and sometimes that can really be a positive reaction in the end. A realistic goal is one you can reach. A great example would be if you want to run a mile in under 10 minutes. Now, there's a lot of students in this building or in this school who can wake up and do that no problem. There's a lot of people who can't. So the number has to be different for each person. Maybe your goal is to run it under 6 minutes. But a bad example of a goal would be running a mile under 1 minute. It's just unrealistic. Nobody in the history of the world has run a mile under 1 minute. There was a time in this world where running a mile under 4 minutes was thought to be impossible, but people have now creeped into the high 3-minute mark, and maybe we'll go lower and lower, but it gets harder and harder, and you really have to train hard and be a supreme athlete. So when we do make goals, we have to talk about the two different types of goals that are out there. We have short-term and long-term goals. Short-term goals are ones that you plan to accomplish in a short amount of time. Maybe you have a test tomorrow or even next week or a project due and you want to get an A on it. Well, obviously we have some students who, by applying the effort that they normally give, they're going to do well because they're hardworking and they're intelligent. Some people need to work a little bit harder to get some of those things done. Or maybe it's a brand new research type of project that you aren't that familiar with and you really have to put some time and energy into. But that's going to be something that's going to be accomplished over the next couple days, maybe the next couple weeks, and you'll get it done. And it can't be a goal, again, can't be waking up and going to school, because you're going to probably do that anyway. Even if you are somebody who sleeps in or skips once in a while, that's just too easy. It has to be something where there have to be multiple steps, and it's going to take some time on your part to accomplish. And you'll see those steps here in a second, very similar to the decision-making model. Long-term goals are goals that you plan to achieve over a period of months or years. Maybe it is going to college after high school. Well, you have to get certain grades. There's certain steps along the way to accomplish that, and maybe save some money, make some decisions, and ultimately be successful in what you want to do. Here are the 6 steps in the goal-setting process. Again, very similar to the decision-making process. Number 1, you're going to identify a specific goal and write it down. Again, maybe that goal is, what am I going to do after high school? Now that you've asked the question, maybe you decided, yes, I am going to go to college. So number 2, you're going to list the steps you have to take to reach your goal. Maybe it's deciding on a couple different colleges you want to look at in research, deciding how much money it's going to cost, what you want to study, what do you want to do for a career. There's a lot of questions that go along with that. Number 3 is get help and support from others. You certainly may need to have mom, dad, family, friends, role model, brother, sister, neighbor, relative, whatever, give you some good advice on what you should do or where you should go. Number 4 is identify and overcome specific obstacles. Maybe it's money, maybe it's time, maybe it's grades. Again, it can't be something that you just wake up and do the next day without thinking very much about. It may be something that takes you a number of days, weeks, months, even years to get better at, let's say, again, like grades, and ultimately get you where you need to be. Number 5, evaluate your progress. How are you doing? If grades are the problem, maybe report cards and new semesters and quarters are opportunities for you to see how you're doing and maybe reevaluate. Maybe you need to work a little bit harder, or maybe you're really satisfied with where your progress is at. And number 6, give yourself a reward. Find time to step away and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go to a movie and celebrate the good things I've done. Maybe you set up a reward system with mom or dad for certain grades. I had a buddy in high school who was second in our class, like number 2 overall, should have been valedictorian, whose parents would give him hundreds of dollars for the A's that he got. Well, he got A's so easily because he was so smart. I got A's as well, and my parents would take me out to dinner, on a report card, which I was happy about. But I'm like, man, this guy's really cashing in. So it's nice to have some rewards that help us really focus and try to achieve the things that we want to achieve.